Hello and welcome to my channel. The channel I'm still calling Work in Progress. Maybe always I'll call it Work in Progress. But at any rate, welcome today. So before I get started, I'm going to talk about something that I think is really, really important to look at. And I think it's something that a lot of us miss. It's almost like it's so much in front of our face, so to speak, that you miss it, you know? It's so obvious sometimes that we're not paying attention to it because it's so obvious. So anyway, we're going to get to that in just a second. But before I do that, I do want to say that my goal is still for with this channel to be able to get others just like you and me to have a discussion with me about your life's journey, about the stories related to your life journey, because I so believe that as we can share our own stories, it's going to help somebody else. It could be a challenge that you overcame or a challenge that pushed you in a different direction. Doesn't have to be a challenge. It could be something that you've learned through the different situations you've been in your life. In other words, it's a sharing, and I know I've said this before, but I say it every once in a while. It's like if 8 billion of us were gathered around a campfire telling our stories, and we'd be telling them in the different languages and from different cultures and the different colors that we are, and all of the differences would be our stories in our life journey. And I strongly believe that we would discover that we're much more alike than not alike. We're alike because we're the humans going through this experience. What we are is spirits, actually, going through this human experience. So we're all connected. At the end of the day, we're connected through spirit or source or soul or whatever term you like to use. We're connected. We're one. But we're fragmented into different lives, 8 billion of them, to have different experiences. But if we all started sharing our stories of our life journey, I feel that we could have such an incredible understanding of one another rather than the judgments, the issues, the wars, all the stuff that's going on. So that's where I want to start, is just finding people that are willing to share some of their stories, a discussion with me, where we'll put it on Zoom. We'll do it through Zoom, and we'll put that on this channel. So I'm mentioning that just in case you don't stay till the end. Also want you to know that my contact information is below this video. So all you have to do is connect with me, and I promise I'll get back with you, and let's see if we can't make this happen. Okie dokie. Now to the purpose of this video. So what happened is last night we were, or late afternoon I guess it was, my husband and I were watching a movie, and it struck a lot of what's really happens sometimes in life. It struck a chord for me. And this is where what I want to talk about today. So the movie was actually The Secret, not the original Secret movie. This is a movie with Katie Holmes, and it's a movie stemming from the book that was written, The Secret. Now, I have to say I wasn't a fan, still am not, of The Secret in that sense, but this film showed something that I absolutely believe in, and I feel it did it in an incredible way. And then that started to strike something in me of which I thought, I want to talk about this. So what this is basically synchronicity in our lives. You know, when things just kind of are surprisingly fall into place, or something seems like, oh my God, it's bad, what happens, but it ends up you can look back and you say, oh my God, if that hadn't happened, then this good thing wouldn't have happened, and that good thing wouldn't have happened, etc. I think you all kind of know that sense. When things are in a synchronous way, you don't feel in charge of that at all. They're just happening, and they happen in ways that oftentimes you can't even explain. You didn't plan it. It just kind of happened. Now, I tend to use synchronicity, if I want to call it that, or maybe these urges, because I think that's synchronicity that I'll get. Even with this movie yesterday, as I was going through to decide what movie we were going to watch, this whole thing of that I saw the name The Secret. Not a fan. Then something urged me, no, go back and look at this. In other words, I was thinking it was something else. Went back and looked, and probably 2 more times, and was passing it back, and then something kept urging me. Now I was open to this, and said, let's look at the trailer, which I did. And we had several movies to choose from, but I really thought, no, this is the movie I'm going to watch today. And my husband was willing to do that, so that's the movie we watched, and that's what's really now, in a synchronous way, we could say, leading me for this discussion today. So what this means to me is we get clues, I'm going to just call them clues, all the time from our higher selves, from what's ever running the show, because we're not running the show. We just think we are, which is probably important that we think we are, but we're not. But we get clues that come in various ways of which way to move. Take a left, take a right, slow down, whatever it is. They're all the time, but they're so obvious sometimes that we don't even pay attention, that we just kind of blow it off, right? And occasionally when we do pay attention, it's kind of the story stays with us. It's kind of blows our mind how something fell into place, or when we're reminiscing about something and saying, if this hadn't happened, then that wouldn't have happened. That's what I'm talking about. And I'm very clear that synchronicities happen all the time, every day, for everyone. But are we in that vibration, we could call it, or are we in the mindset to notice? I think most often, maybe even, I was going to say many times we're not, probably most often we're not, unless we're cluing ourselves in, unless we're saying, I wonder what's out of curiosity, I wonder what's going to show up today. I wonder what today is going to be like. So that we're kind of opening our mind to experience something that maybe we're not expecting. It's the unexpected in a way, And so in this movie, that's a lot what they talk about. And so if we're expecting only gloom and doom, trauma and drama, then that's often what we're getting in our lives. If you probably know people like I do that continually go from one trauma to another. That's their life. They're always having something of drama or trauma going on. It's like it just never ends. It's something with a family member. It's something with a company that they're trying to sue. It's it's always this stuff, legal actions, just weird things going on, but it continues to be their life. But they continue to believe that that's what their life's going to be about. Now, they don't realize they're believing that. They're saying, I don't know what goes on, that I'm always having these issues. And sometimes they don't even say that. It's just part of their life. So what I'm want to talk about today is how do we pull ourselves into a place, and I don't know if the word is pull ourselves, but make ourselves aware. That sounds a little better, of being more conscious, more noticing of the little clues in our life going on. And one way to start that is just to have an open mind. Don't attach, because if you attach to, okay, I'm going to give myself 5 days. If I don't see synchronicity or something very special happening in 5 days, then I know it's BS and I'm not going to do it. I'm not talking it like that. I'm saying just open your mind to say to yourself, well, I'm going to be open today to possibly see something that's going on that could be even a simple thing, but could make some kind of a difference in my day. So it's as simple as that. Just saying, okay, guides, okay, spirit, okay, universe, I'm opening my mind today. So give me what you got. Can't detach, just stay open. So I'm going to give you an example because it's, I think, a very clear example of something that happened for me years ago. But I think it really is a good way to understand synchronicity. So years ago, I was working for a company in a sales position. That's mostly what I did, sales. Didn't often work for companies. I'm much more entrepreneurial. But in this case, I was working for a company in a sales position. And they were introducing, this company was introducing a new idea at the time, I'll date myself, of word processing. So they were entering into kind of the computer world. Now this company actually was very well known for their copy machines, but then very sophisticated copy machines. Well, I had no interest in that, and when I got this job, it was strictly to sell and introduce this new word processing, which a lot of companies were just beginning to introduce that at the time. So I started with the company, and in those days, I don't know, I'm sure it's probably the same today, pretty much worked for straight commission. That's where you made the most money. I think I got some kind of base salary for a little time. So I started to do cold calls on the phone, make appointments, go to businesses within the city that I was living in, and the type of companies that could use this type of system, that it could help them in what they're doing, which really covered a lot of different businesses and offices. And I kept getting no. I'd go and I couldn't even get them to come in and have a demo. It was like I just didn't know what was going on, but I kept pursuing, and I know it takes time, and I know I was kind of perfecting my pitch, if you will, and I kept getting this no, and I was getting very frustrated because my past hadn't been where I struggled so much trying to get something off the ground. And I remember one day, very frustrating, I was downtown in San Jose, California, and I got another no, and I remember walking out of this office, and there was a dollar bill laying on the sidewalk, and I picked up that dollar bill, and I thought, oh, okay, this is a clue. It's saying hang in there, you're gonna have success, it's okay. And so I was looking for every little crumb, if you want to call it that, to help me hang in there, and also to maybe help me see where I was, what was going on, why was I getting all these no's. Now granted, I understood I'm selling something brand new. I'm working with a company that's known for copiers, not word processing. So I understood I had some challenges to overcome. Anyway, one day I'm in my office, and again, I'm kind of going, what is going on? Why can't I get this thing off the ground? And I happened to open a drawer at the, my desk that was assigned to me. And there were these leads, names of companies to cold call. And I just looked at them and I thought, you know what? Okay, I opened the drawer. I hadn't seen them before in this drawer. And I thought, I'll just start calling these leads. And it ended up that these names of these, what I had to call, ended up being about an hour, 45-minute, an hour drive from where our office was located, and in more of a area that wasn't a downtown. In fact, a beautiful area, some near the beach, near the water, and so forth. But they had government offices there, and that's what I ended up calling, because that was the name of what was on these cards that were the leads. So I'm calling these different government offices, and then I start to get some appointments. And I go to these appointments, I drive there, I go to these appointments, and I start to get a real interest. And then the thing comes in, they don't want to come all the way into San Jose to get a demo, so I really need to figure out some way to do it there. And I end up finding a dealer of this company. I'm working for a branch of the corporation, and then this guy's, he's a dealer for their copy machines in that area. Has very nice office and demo area. So I set up a deal. I go in and say, hey, could I, would you let us use your space, and do demos for this new product? And then I worked it out somehow, or I asked my branch manager, can he get, of course, he'd have to get some part of the deal. Anyway, we worked that out. And then what happened because of that, it ended up that I had to have a tech person come with me because I wasn't going to be in the office where these tech people were. And many of the salespeople, like myself, they were doing their own demo on the technical end. And then there was a flip chart that we did, a whole pitch about what this product could do. Well, I am not, wasn't then, never have been, never will be a techie. So I would have struggled. I could have never, struggled. I just wouldn't have tried to do it. So in this case, I get, because I've got this all set up and these people are going to come in from these different government offices to get the demo, I end up getting a tech person assigned to me, my own techie. And she would come with me to down there to the demos. And many times we even stayed overnight in great places because we were going to demo the next day. We demoed that day. It was too late to come back. I had several demos. Anyway, I had this great success that started to happen in this area. I had constant argument from my sales manager at that time because she felt it was crazy that I'm driving an hour down there and we had to set this all up differently and yada yada. So she couldn't understand that this was a good idea, and because I was succeeding in making sales, the branch manager overrode her opinion and said, no, keep doing what you're doing. So I ended up a wonderful experience, met all kinds of people, became the #1 company in these government offices. And to top it off, I had been at the company for less than a year, maybe 8 or 9 months when it was coming to the end of the year. And they were giving, as a bonus, if you sold so many dollars, typical of sales, right, then you would get this trip that they were going to be offering in the spring. So you do it through making so many sales. Well, it ended up that I met that quota within 8 months rather than a year. It didn't take me a year, it just took me 8 months due to this situation with these government offices. So what that showed me, had I never looked in that drawer, maybe had I never had the challenge that I was having because it just didn't feel right, like I'm not going to sell here because it's just not happening. The company I'm dealing with just isn't really as competitive as some of the other companies because of the fact that they've not been in the computer world, or also our equipment was very large and not so great looking. So I had these things that weren't working in my behalf. But nobody was going to these government offices where I was headed, so the competition was pretty much nil. So it all ended up this incredible result. But if I look back on it, and even at the time, even though I wasn't totally aware by any means what was going on, I was just following the yellow brick road. That's it. Following what kept showing up. And that was a great ride for me with that company. Then it ended up that I got promoted to a sales manager position to go to Southern California, which I did, and that ended up absolutely convincing me I don't want to be a sales manager. It's not me. So I had this whole event in a couple years, whatever it was. I don't know how long I was with them, a couple years, 3 years. And that all was such a positive experience. And that's just a small kind of explanation of how synchronicity works, and we miss it. Now, I could have looked in that door, seen these leads were an hour away, and went, nah, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to drive an hour just to try to get a deal. It doesn't make sense, yada, yada. Or I could have gone in and discussed it with my sales manager, and she would clearly have said no. And so, what would be the alternative? Maybe I would have never succeeded in that company. I don't know. But I was open-minded. This has been a typical thing for me, particularly in business, where not to judge. Now, if it was in some terrible area or all of that, those are pieces to it that could have changed my mind. But instead, I just kind of went with the flow, and that flow ended up a really good flow, and a big success for me, and a big lesson for me to learn to trust, even though I'd been through many times before where I've trusted these, what I call synchronistic situations. Part of it we could say is our intuition. Something got me to open that drawer that day. Who knows? I mean, we can try to figure it out 100 ways, but definitely I'm sure you're getting what I'm talking about. I believe, and I notice it in my life when I'm there, when I can stay focused, that we have these synchronicities, these opportunities coming up all the time, I mean, we all, if we look back on our lives, we have these stories, right? I mean, the story of even how I met my current husband was one of those synchronous things. I have a lot of stories from business where, I got this intuition to do something and I moved with it. So what's behind all this, is the thing that I really want to communicate, is how do we start to open up to things happen unexpectedly, let's put it that way, happening for us. Even to the point that sometimes something what appears to be bad could happen, and it ends up being the best thing that happened, in a story of some sort, where, it seemed like, oh my God, this awful thing happened. I lost my house. I did this. I got divorced, whatever it is. And out of that comes this incredible life that happens, or this incredible experience that happens because of that. So it is a trusting within. It really is. It's a trusting, and it has to come from that inner world, that intuitive, I don't know what else to call it, of trusting something that you really can't prove is taking you anywhere, or maybe it seems risky. It's going to take you down the wrong path. It's those times where I know that I've taken risks that other people would look at and go, you're crazy, oh my God. But something inside of me felt, this is what I need to do. Medically, I went through a situation where I had to have a surgery, and I just was real clear on the kind of what I wanted out of this surgery, and the kind of doctor I was looking for, and I just stayed open to finding that right fit for me, and I did. It didn't happen easy, and it didn't happen quickly. But when I look back, I can see the steps that I took to get there. So again, it's so valuable to be able to live from this place. It's not magic. It's not magic at all. It can feel magical at times. Yeah, it really can. I've had those situations also. But most of the time, it's just becoming aware. Now, these are, there's smaller synchronicities that happen. They're the big ones, like I just talked about from my work. The big ones, how people meet their spouses, or how people end up adopting a child, or whatever it is. Those are big big times in one's life. They're an important time in one's life. And everybody's got those stories. Everybody can't not have it. You have those stories. But what about even the day-to-day? And that's what I'm talking about. And this movie kind of really expressed that. I highly recommend, if this conversation has an interest to you, look at the movie, watch the movie, and you'll get what I'm talking about. And it's like everyday, just everyday stuff. What could be magical in any day, you know? The small things. Like, you know, you're at the grocery store and you really need a particular item to make a particular recipe. Maybe you're having guests for dinner, and you end up getting that last jar of whatever it is that you needed. There it is. You're there at the right moment. You noticed it. Synchronicity. I mean, those are little things, but man, they add up, you know? Maybe you're with friends and you're at a restaurant and they say the wait's going to be a half an hour, and then you're debating, okay, well, we'll wait the half hour, and 10 minutes later they call your name and say somebody didn't show or something for their reservation, so you were next. That's a small thing, but it's synchronicity. And why you want to notice this or pay attention to it is to give it its value that it is. Show it that you understand, that you see, thank you, universe. Thank you for the synchronicity. Thank you for tuning me in. Thank you for finding me a parking place, you know? I used to do this a lot, especially when I was in outside sales or having to meet somebody, a client or something. I would say, I want a parking place really close. I want a parking place that is within, easy walking distance. It's raining, or I want a parking place right in front. And oftentimes that happened because I opened up to it. Now, it didn't happen every time, but it did. But I was so open in those days to the idea of something happening that would surprise me, make my life easier, whatever, that it actually showed up. So in watching this movie yesterday, it kind of brought this back up to me, because I feel like, you know what? I kind of lost that whole thing for a while now. I've not really been paying attention, although I can look back and see things, simple things that have happened that, were very much of a good thing, ended up a good thing, but they're small, It's like I don't know, this isn't very long ago, we weren't driving our car very often lately, and so we're not starting it, we're just kind of, both work from home, so it's pretty easy to stay at home. Anyway, our battery didn't start, and we were going to the grocery store. And so this let us know that, okay, we're not using our battery enough. My husband charged right up, but it could have happened at the grocery store too. We could have made it to the grocery store on a really low battery, and then it wouldn't start. But this was like, thank you, car, thank you, battery, for letting us know now, and we're keeping a better eye on it. So there's these little things. I'm, trying to come up with enough ideas that you get what I'm talking about, and I think I probably have come up with those ideas. So what do we need to do? What do we need to do to allow the synchronicities to be seen, that we see them? What I know for sure is if we can every day say, okay, universe, I am open, I'm open-minded to see whatever could surprise me today, a synchronicity of some sort today that, I didn't expect to happen. What today could happen that I didn't expect it to? Whatever that is. Or show me today what I need to know, or show me today what is right there that I'm not noticing. And I'm going to keep my mind open. And by keeping my mind open, I'm going to release all judgments, right? Judgments of whatever the judgment is, like Oh no, it's going to rain all day. It's going to be miserable. Let go of the judgment. It's going to rain all day. Or don't even go there. Just, it's weather. You know, this is just weather. Show me what you got, universe, and what I'm not seeing. Like just watching the movie yesterday was, you know, this happens a lot of times because I'm the one that goes through picking the movies. We tend to watch a movie on Sunday afternoon, and I'm the one that's going through picking out the movies, and that's where I am then very tuned in to synchronicity, to not make a judgment. You know, the title sounds weird or whatever. I mean, it just like The Secret, you know, I was going to pass it up, but I listened and opened my mind and got the nudge. It's a nudge, really, it is. It's the judgment of things, the judgment of what we believe as good, bad, or otherwise, that stops us from actually experiencing some incredible, magical, if you want to say that, surprises. Just in an ordinary day. You know, they come up in such interesting ways. You have a conversation at the grocery store with someone that you don't even know, but it kind of lifts your spirits. Or you see something online that you've been looking for and you hadn't found, and boom, there it is. Like somebody's talking about, oh, this worked really great for whatever, because you're having that whatever situation right now. Just get open to us. It doesn't have to be a big thing. And the more that you can open your mind to that there are these synchronicities out there, that life is about that, that's how life works, the more you can get in kind of the flow of that. It's like, you know, building a muscle at this gym. This muscle starts to build, and pretty soon you're noticing all kinds of synchronicities, the synchronicities of, you know, small things happening, big things happening that you don't expect, right? So in doing this and practicing this, it doesn't happen overnight, just like everything, right? It just doesn't. And it does take an intention, you know, and an action. The things don't just happen because you think about it for a minute. It takes action, and an action can be intention. Just every morning to say, intend to stay open and see a surprise today. Today I intend to be open-minded for any synchronicity that shows up. The intention is the action. So it's not just hearing this once and going, oh yeah, okay, well, you know, universe, if you want to show me something, do. It's always taking action, and action can come just strictly from intention. That's it. Doesn't have to require one to take action in doing something. In fact, the doing of something often isn't the way to go. It's the nudge, feeling the nudge, and that happens from being open to say, I'm, you know, open-minded, releasing judgments so that I could see a surprise today, or notice something that I haven't noticed before. You know, sometimes that's huge. Sometimes to notice something, wow, I didn't notice that there's a problem on my property. You know, I didn't notice it. Wow, I noticed it in the nick of time. It's that kind of thing when you have that happen, that you notice something in the nick of time. You notice that your tire is low, really low, before you take off on the freeway. Those are important times to recognize and to give credit to it, and to say, okay, thank you, Spirit, thank you, guides, for showing me this. Because the more that we can say thank you, and get out of the way, by the way, because we're not the doers of this life. Our life is being lived through us. Our guides are there guiding. And if we're not into the moment, then we're off into the la-la land, thinking it's a whole other thing that we're experiencing, and seeing the negative, and feeling and listening to our judgments. And pretty soon it's a downer day, you know, not a good day. Like one thing leads to another in terms of a bad situation. That we can bring on as well. But that's coming from our ego. That's coming from thinking we're in charge. So it does take a certain amount of desire, gives trust to let go. Let go of what you think you know, who you think you are, what you think you do. Let it go. And open for spirit, for guides, for the magic to come through this body, because this body's the vehicle for that. That's it. And if we could do this every day, it's a tall order. Yeah, I know. It is a tall order, really, to stay that conscious every day because, life happens, people say. So, however, the reward, the result that we can get from that is so worth it. So worth it. So, do it in whatever way works for you. If you journal it. If you do automatic writing, do it that way. Put a note on your mirror reminding you to be open. Don't attach. Do not say, don't attach that something has to happen. Just be open. That's all you're doing. You're having the intention of being open to have something surprise you that is synchronicity. That's it. So I hope this helps somebody, I hope you give it a shot. Give it a try because, until I saw this movie yesterday, I really had kind of forgotten how huge this is and how I myself have kind of not been in that state of mind. I think for me, I know I talk about COVID a lot, but, that was such a, I don't even know what to call it, period for me. I wasn't feeling very synchronistic. Although there were plenty of times things did happen in that way, but I was very distracted with the story in my head about COVID. So I think I lost some of that intention. Didn't lose the capability to see it, just lost the intention of having that in the forefront of my mind. So that is what I wanted to share with you today. And I'll talk more about this kind of thing in some other videos for sure. But since this was right on my mind this moment, I thought it's a great time to speak about it and see if this is going to help somebody or this will open up some new ways of looking at life or viewing life for the moment. So I hope it helps somebody. So I want to remind you, if you like this video, please click like, subscribe also, and hit the doodad next to subscribe, and it'll let you know when new videos are posted. Posting quite often now, so you may want to be alerted to that. Also, please leave a comment. Love to hear your comments. And again, I'm going to remind you, if you see value in sharing some of your life journey stories, then let's get to it. Let's try it. Let's go for it and see what happens. This I'm following also. It does seem very intuitive to me. Not always that clear if something's on the right track, and I'm not attaching to it. So this whole thing could shift and change, and I don't know in what ways, but I'm open to that as well. But in the meantime, this is the track I'm on, and I want to see if anybody is going to be on the same track with me. In the meantime, I'll keep posting videos in hopes that I'm helping somebody out there, and we'll see how this thing goes. So take care today. I hope where you are at today that you've got sunny weather. We've got beautiful sunny day today. I love the sun, so hopefully you're in that kind of weather. And take care of yourself. Be good to yourself and try this out. Try it out and see what happens a day that you could have a surprise. Small, big, little, give it a shot. Anyway, in the meantime, take care. Until next time, we'll see you.